I signed my first lease when I was 20 in New York City. A year later, I signed another lease in New York City and stayed there for a bit. Then I stayed at my parents' garage apartment, and then a sublet in New York City, and then another apartment in New York City, and then a camper.
It's messy.
And then we built the tiny house, and then to change it up, we rented an apartment in Portland, Maine. But now we live in the van most of the time, so we return back to the tiny house a lot because that's where all of our stuff is.
Hey, yeah, pretty cool.
Come on in, it's cold out there.
Should we put this on the door?
Put it on the door. So this is our sticker door, from breweries to bands that we've played with and coffee shops and random stickers we've collected at different events throughout the year. We're pretty full. I might just smack right there. That's M's band. So I guess I'll start up here with our discography wall. We actually don't have everything up there. I have to get this framed, and I think we have like a few more albums that we've put out since I've updated that wall. So that's all of our albums that we've made. This big green guy, it's actually the wrong way, and Steph would be really mad if she saw this. It's supposed to be horizontal, I think. But Steph Butchko is an incredible artist living in LA right now, and this is some of her really early work, and I was really lucky to have gotten it when I did. The next two pieces are from our friend Sid Dennison. We have one by the wood stove, one on the wall. They're an amazing tattoo artist and visual artist as well, and just an amazing human being. We threw a housewarming party in our New York apartment when we lived there a few years ago, and we asked that people bring us art to warm our house, and all of our friends are artists, so of course the art was really, really cool. So our friend Ave made those 3 pieces above the door, and then our friend Sam K, who makes awesome music, made us that little painting right there. Before we were dating, when we worked at the shanty, the bar, there was a hurricane, and I was really cold, and you lent me your sweatshirt. Then when we got together, I decided to steal the sweatshirt. But then I think it got like really stained and gross, so we decided just to cut out the front for memorabilia. That is from a show we played at, I believe it was Rockwood Music Hall in New York. It was just a little duo show, and there was someone in the front row drawing us. She didn't get to quite finish you, Noah, but... This guy. He's our friend. We bought him in Davenport, Iowa, at a flea market at the Raccoon Motel, which is a sick venue that we've played at a few times. And the people who run it also have a flea market there. And we bought this guy, and he's been with us ever since. Haven't you? We try to keep a lot of band-related items, like different zines or set lists that we've accumulated and created over the years.
These photos here, I actually developed and printed myself, and they came out pretty good. They remind me of my time in New York. You made me a crossword for our anniversary. There's a few pieces of art in here that I've just kept in every apartment, and I'm not necessarily attached to them. I just feel like since I've put them up everywhere, I have to continue. One of my grandmother's friends got me this here. This is, I'm not really sure. This thing is really cool. My dad made it for us. It's actually a birdhouse. My aunt got me this for Christmas a really long time ago, and I think it's really cool. It's like a mini Fender Stratocaster, and I've also displayed this everywhere, and it's just one of my favorite things. This is just a whole shelf of random stuffed animals and small items.
Somewhere I have memory boxes of just things that I've kept, and I've been doing that like since I got out of college. Here's the good weather tour. I don't know how much we filled this out, but this was one of our tours. Cool. Oh, and that was when we weren't using smartphones for directions, so we wrote down. We'd look up our directions and write them all down. There's my first memory box. Oh, man. There we are. Me and Bob. Travel Z #1. That's when I went to Maine. I was so excited about like every little thing that I was doing, and I think that part of that is so that I could look back on it, and I kind of want to do that for my future self again, and I think it makes me more present too when I'm actively collecting while I'm in the moment.
This is a really like sloppy drawing of when I was trying to design the camper and the outhouse, and that actually is exactly what we did. Mm-hmm. My bike tour with Matt, I documented the whole trip on this waterproof notepad, and I also photographed the whole thing as well. Our tiny house is right next to my grandmother's old house that she used to live in. It's a colonial house from at least 200 years ago. So here we are in the old house. It was built before this country was even a country, and my grandmother lived in it for a lot of her life. She lives down the road, but the house here still stands, and she lives in a new house. The beams were hand hewn by the people who built the house. That is just not something that happens anymore. The walls are horsehair plaster, which is pretty common in houses of this age. It's clearly falling apart. So this piano was my grandmother's, and I think it was also her grandmother's. I remember when I was a kid, I actually slept in this room in a bed that was a brass frame, and it was really cold and snowy, and I remember the windows were cold to touch, but the house was pretty warm because all of the fireplaces were going. That could be a fireplace, and the chimney goes way up, and it's massive. So they don't make stairs like this anymore. But as a kid, for Christmas, I remember running up and down them. We used to stay upstairs. So since we've come to the land and taken on this project, we've gutted the entire house. So when we got here, there were a bunch of rooms here, but now you can see all of the exposed timber framing. So these are the old door latches. They're pretty cool. And this is the basement. This might be the creepiest basement I've ever seen in my life. And holding up the entire house is these large pieces of granite that are beginning to fall. So the time to do repairs is 10 years ago. After all these years of accidental collections and building deep attachments and connections to all of these items, I've begun to question the materialistic nature of sentimental things. Isn't collecting a bunch of objects and having attachments to them just a form of materialism? Materialism and sentimentality are similar, but I think the important distinction for me is the difference in looking back and looking forward. With material items, we are focused on the perception of others in relation to the material item. So you say to yourself, if I don't buy X, Y, or Z, then the world will think less of me. But sentimentality, on the other hand, brings us to the past. It still plays into our ego by saying, without this item, I wouldn't be who I identify as. But with sentimental items, there tends to be a connected story to the object. I think to sum this up, materialism is acquisition, and sentimentality is preservation. It's amazing how places change over time, and the more they change, the more memories come back about how they used to be. The house is cold now and falling apart, but I still hear the fireplaces crackling and smell what my grandmother was cooking in the kitchen. This house is nostalgic for me, but sometimes the items that bring us these memories will deteriorate and fall apart. That's when it's important for us to know when to let go. I'm still holding out hope for this house, but always practicing letting go.
Oh, I won't be a small mind, even though I'm from a small kind of town. Oh, I won't be a small